Surprise, surprise, I'm not dead. So, it's been a while since I last posted something on YouTube, and during the time I was away, I have managed to hit 500 subscribers, so a big thank you goes to everyone who helped me get this far. Today's video is dedicated to a very special clock, which you have right here in front of you. From the outside, this looks just like a normal Black Forest shield clock with a long pendulum and a 30-hour movement. But it is in fact more than that, because the movement of this clock uses a special complication known as the Surrerwerk. So, for those of you who don't know, this is basically a grand sonnery clock, or a blind man's clock, which means that it strikes on every quarter with the following sequence. There are two gongs, a smaller gong for sounding the quarters and a larger gong for sounding the hours. Each ding from the smaller gong represents 1 quarter, and each dong from the larger gong represents 1 hour. So let's say that you hear 2 dings and 5 dongs. Those 2 dings represent 2 quarters of an hour, or half an hour, and those 5 dongs represent 5 hours. So that means that the time is 5:30. Most grand sonnery clocks have 3 trains, one for the time side, one for the hour strike, and one for the quarter strike. But because this is a Surrerwerk, it only has 2 gear trains, one for the time side, and one that is shared between the quarter strike and the hour strike. And in order to get the correct pattern of strikes, multiple cams and levers that are located on the front of the movement are used. Now I'll let you know what it sounds like. I bought this clock about 4 months ago, and I got it for a very cheap price, knowing that I will have to do some work on it. However, when it came here, it was in worse shape than I anticipated. Both gear trains were black from dirt, the time side was stuck, the strike side was turning in the wrong direction. I don't know how it managed to get in that state. The clock came with the wrong pendulum and the wrong weights. The hands were sprayed black. During shipping, one of the original side doors had snapped in half. And at this point I think that you all can understand that it was quite a project. So, after dismantling this clock, I have set myself 2 goals. To pass the exam and to get this thing going again. And I managed to accomplish both of them. I have passed my exam successfully. And after 2 months of work, a lot of patience and a lot of hand cleaning, this clock is finally going again. Now this thing is not quite perfect yet. I need to get some new weights for it, because these weights were borrowed from my Junghans loudspeaker clock and from my Hermle cast iron clock. And also, the front pivot hole of the pallet arbor is severely worn. So I need to do something about that. A big thank you goes to the Sleepless Engineer, another YouTuber, who helped me get the measurements for the pendulum and for the weights. He has the exact same clock as this one, but with another dial, And with that I mean the movements are identical even to the detail work on the sides with these flowers. So yeah, you should go check his channel out. He's got some interesting stuff in there. Now, it's finally time to take a peek inside this clock, and after that you'll see some clips that I took while I was restoring it. Okay, so this recording has been taken like a month after all the other ones, because I'm probably the laziest person that I can think of. So, sorry about that. Anyways, this is the movement of the Black Forest Surrerwerk clock. It has been cleaned and lubricated and it runs very well. You can already see all the cams and levers that help getting the right striking pattern every quarter hour. And you might also notice the giant fly fan, which is commonly found in these movements as they require quite a lot of air resistance. So I turned the flashlight on because my lighting conditions are not very good. And right there you might be able to see the exit pallet of the recoil escapement that this clock uses. And if we come over here, this is the time side of the movement. It only has 3 wheels because, as I mentioned earlier, this clock runs for 30 hours and it doesn't need that many wheels. Okay, so now I'm going to try to explain to you how this Surrerwerk mechanism works, and I hope that you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So first of all, we have that star wheel in the center right there. That's the hour cam. It engages with the hammer that strikes on the larger gong. And that detent that you can see on the minute wheel is the quarter hour cam, which engages with the hammer that strikes on the smaller gong. So the linkage between the hammers and the cams is made via 2 pairs of levers. These 2 right here and those 2 from the side of the movement. These levers from the front of the movement engage directly with the cams. In the case of the hour lever, this inner side gets lifted by the cam so that the outer side pushes against this lever right there and moves it around like that. And in the case of the quarter hour lever, it gets lifted by the cam like that, and it engages with another lever from the side of the movement, so that it also moves it around. Okay, so this is the strike side of the movement, and those are the levers that move around, and those are the hammers. Now, if we go over to the other side, there's that big wheel in there with a whole lot of pins on it. I'm gonna zoom in. Yeah, that wheel in there. It has pins both on the front side and on the back side. You might be able to see a few in there. And right now I am moving those side levers so you can see them move. Where's the big one? Oh yeah, there it is. And basically those are moved closer and closer to that wheel. So the closer they are to the wheel, the more pins they will engage with, and the more times the clock will strike. I should have said this earlier, but as you might see, the pins get shorter and shorter, and there are exactly 4 pins on the back side of the wheel for 4 quarters, and 12 pins on the front side for 12 hours. Sometimes some of the pins will be out of reach, so the lever will not engage with them, and the clock will strike a certain amount of times. And the role of those cams, that you saw earlier, is to set the positions of those 2 levers every quarter hour, so that the correct number of strikes will be obtained. Okay, so I zoomed in again, and now I'm going to trigger the striking of the clock. You can see the hour lever moving, and the time is approximately 10:45. So when the clock starts striking, you'll see that it will strike 10 times for the hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you could see right there, right there, the last two pins of the wheel did not engage with the lever because the lever is set in the 10 o'clock position by the hour cam. And that's basically how this clock works. Here's a wheel from the time side of the Black Forest Surrerwerk wagon the wall clock. I only cleaned one side so that I can show you the difference. So here's the wheel with about 50 years of dust on it. And this is the side that I cleaned. Yeah, it's quite a huge difference. Also, for comparison, here are the wheels from the time side. And here are the wheels from the strike side. Well, I finally got the striking train freed up. So now it actually runs. Some small adjustments were done and now the clock is a little less noisy. Okay, so here's the last wheel from the movement that I have to clean. It's the main wheel from the strike side. On this side of the wheel I have done a little bit of hand cleaning. And on this side I have done some machine cleaning, as I call it. Yeah, it's a little less shinier on this side, but both the sides of the wheel are cleaned. Okay, so after fiddling with the movement for about an hour and a half, I have finally managed to get all the parts out. These are the striking control levers and the hammers. I'm really glad that I could save those decorations. And here's the rest of the movement. Those are the parts that have already been cleaned. Well, the entire clock has been cleaned. You can see all the parts laid out in here. Every wheel and every lever from the movement, the weights, the dial, and the new pendulum. This has been an incredible project. And now it is time for the final reassembly and lubrication. Well, the dial is back on and the clock is set to the right time. I hope you understood my explanation on how this works. And I think that will wrap it up for this video. And oh my god, did this take too long, because I am extremely lazy and I also had personal issues. Yay! Yeah, so sorry once again that this took so long to make. I know that you might be a bit confused, because at the beginning of this video this clock had my third Yantar box clock for company, and now it has this antique cuckoo clock, which is a work in progress. But I guarantee you that you'll see it very soon. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and see you next time.